Hey everybody, I'm Sierra,
And I'm Ben.
and welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Real quick, last night we put the kids in their rooms and said the front of the house is off limits. Turned on Hot Frosty, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And wrapped presents, which you guys, I love wrapping presents, but I haven't done it in a long time. And I don't love wrapping presents when I'm in a hurry. I like to take my time with it. But last night, since we're ahead of schedule for the first time in 10 plus years, or we're not traveling somewhere, like we could sit down and take our time. So I was under the impression that we were going to sit there for the entirety of the movie and wrap presents.
I hate wrapping presents.
Mhm.
But this is how I think. Give me a job and I just want to get it done.
How it looks is not important.
It depends on the job.
Mm-hmm.
I do take pride in the things I do. But when it comes to wrapping, I could care less.
Yeah, your job is to just cover the present.
To cover the
Yeah.
present. And let me just say, I am not a good rapper. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I did double what Sierra did.
But I had this lined wrapping paper where, because I was cutting it so beautifully, all of the lines were matching up. And
I'm just hacking away and taping just.
You guys, and this is something I brought this up to Ben last night. Since our first Christmas together, Christmas morning rolls around, we have no children. Very low key. There's only a couple presents under the tree. And when I tell you that I could barely get mine open because they were wrapped in whatever little wrapping paper was left in the house and duct tape.
I did use duct tape.
Yeah. Now, this was at a time when we had no kids, no major responsibilities. Like we had full-time jobs and life was hard and busy in different ways. But even at midnight, Ben could have realized I don't have any tape or I'm out of wrapping paper and gotten into his vehicle and driven. We lived in a metro area too. We weren't out in the middle of nowhere.
But I had tape. I had duct tape.
Yeah.
And tape is tape.
I had to legitimately cut open my presents.
Well, even better for you. It was more of a surprise. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, what are we doing today?
I don't know. Let's just tell jokes.
No, that's not why everyone's here. We are recapping season
4,
episode
1.
Guys, we're in season 4.
This comes out right before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
And here's our present to you.
It's a good episode.
We
do have a lost love. We'll sandwich that in the middle between the two. But we got some good stuff here. Very on brand with Unsolved Mystery.
Yeah.
And Ben gets to talk to us about aliens. So I'm excited for us all to get to talk with Ben about one of his favorite subjects. Okay, before we let Ben dive in, don't forget to follow the show wherever you're listening. And if you enjoy what we're doing, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find the podcast and keeps us bringing you more of these mysterious cases. I guess you're not going first. I'm going first.
Yeah. We're sandwiching the lost love. Are we starting out with it? Is that what you're starting out with? The lost love?
Do you want me to start with the lost love? Yeah, because then I guess I'll do that one.
Sarah has 2. I have 1.
Okay.
Because my story was half the episode.
It was.
There was a commercial break.
And everything. And there's a lot of people interviewed. It was a bigger.
Yeah. So you start with whatever you want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right. Well, then I will give us our lost love. We'll knock that one out. And then we'll have some fun. Okay.
Okay.
All right. 42-year-old Caroline Jean Drowning has lived most of her life with a quiet, nagging sense that she didn't quite fit in. She grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, in what looked like a perfectly ordinary family. However, from an early age, she felt a little bit of an outsider in her own home and was somehow just outside the frame of the photograph she was supposed to be in. And that feeling followed her everywhere. She was born in 1948. Her father, Chester Libby, was an Army sergeant. Her mother, Mildred Libby worked as a secretary. 3 years later, Carl's younger brother, Ronnie, was born. And that's when Caroline began to notice something just a little odd. Her brother had bright blue eyes and curly blonde hair. She, however, had very dark eyes and straight dark hair and a deep olive complexion. Side by side, they did not look alike at all. As a child, she couldn't quite put into words the way she was feeling. She just knew something was a little off and kept those things to herself. However, when she was 16, her mother, Mildred, suddenly died. Shortly after the funeral in June of 1965, Carl and her younger brother were sent to live with their grandparents in Alexandria, Virginia. Their father, Chester, was stationed overseas at the time in the Army. It was during this time, in the days immediately following her mother's death, that something happened that was weird and stayed in her mind. One afternoon, Carl's grandmother called her into the kitchen, gave her permission to go out shopping. She handed her a $20 bill and told her to grab a quart of milk and that she could just keep the rest and to just
A lot of
get out of the house.
It's a lot of money back then.
That's like $100.
Yeah,
Yeah. Before leaving the house, Carol was introduced to a woman by the name of Mary. Her grandmother explained that Mary was an old high school friend of Mildred's. And at that moment, something weird happened. She said that this woman looked familiar. And she said so out loud. And Mary responded by saying that she had seen Carol when she was a baby and remembered that Mary seemed shaken and maybe a little overly emotional. However, at the time, she assumed that it was more likely due to the passing of her friend and the mother. Now, looking back, Karen remembers everything about that moment, from what she was wearing to the way she felt, and she wished she would have known who Mary really was. Life moves forward as it does, and Chester eventually returned to the United States and remarried to her father. And Carol finished high school, got married, and had a son of her own. On July 21st, 1990, her father, Chester, passed away at the age of 70. And she traveled to Arlington, Virginia to attend his funeral. While she was there, a relative handed her a briefcase that belonged to her father and said that he wanted her to have this. Inside were military papers and some other important life documents. That night, while home alone, Carol opened the briefcase. She told herself that she wanted to just look through the papers, revisiting some of the places they had lived and the memories they had shared. But two documents stood out immediately. One, dated November 1945, listed Chester as married. Another, filled out in 1948, listed him as divorced.
Oh.
Carol was born in 1948. The realization hit her all at once. Chester had been married to someone before Mildred, and that marriage had ended just 1 month before Carla's birth. So we got some dates aren't adding up.
The way they tell this is so confusing.
Yes, it is. But I'll unpack it. We'll get through this. It makes more sense as we kind
So
of
at the end of the day, her dad was married, but then divorced, and he divorced a month before
she was
he was
born.
born. Okay.
Okay.
I'm following. I'm tracking.
But again, this still leaves her with a lot of questions.
But it does not mean that he can't be the father.
No, but I think she just was like, wait a minute. Finding out that your dad was married before is kind of crazy. And that, well, no. Let's see. 1984 listed him, I guess, as divorced. And she was born in 1948. Okay, so that same time frame. Got it.
1940, yeah.
Yeah. So she decides to call her uncle Norman. This was her father's only living brother, and to just ask him for the truth.
Yep.
And he was very open with her. Carla was not Chester's biological daughter. According to Norman, Mildred had Carla already when she met Chester. And for the first time, Carla said she actually felt some sort of weird relief. Like she'd known something was a little not making sense, but couldn't put her name to it. And now she's kind of feeling justified in feeling that way. She'd confirmed and not imagined that there was a reason she'd always felt a little different inside of her home. But the truth wasn't finished unfolding yet. An hour later, her brother Ronnie called her and he had news of his own. He told Carla that Mildred, her mother, had also been married before. Okay?
So the mom was married before. The dad was married before.
Yes.
Okay.
They get married.
They both divorce
Mhm.
and then they get married to each other.
And she brings a daughter into that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So Carla assumes at this point that that explains everything. She must have been Mildred's biological child from that earlier marriage. But Ronnie mentioned her brother something also strange. His birth certificate stated that Mildred had not given birth to any children before him. So on a birth certificate here in the States, you have to state how many pregnancies you've had and how many live births you've had. And hers stated
Zero.
0.
So what it was stating is that the boy
Was
their
her first biological live birth child.
That was the first child she gave birth to.
Exactly. So this meant that Carla, in a matter of a day or two, found out that she wasn't Carla or Mildred's biological child and that she wasn't even technically a blood relative to her own brother.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah. So at this point, everything in her life that she kind of knew has just fallen away from her.
And both of her parents have passed, so she has no one to actually question
or find out. Yeah. So the final piece of the puzzle actually comes from Mildred, the wife and the woman in this brother. So her uncle, basically. She calls him and he tells Carol that during her first marriage, Mildred had suffered multiple miscarriages, however, desperately wanted a child. And in 1948, Mildred had a chance encounter with a young woman named Mary. Mary was a recent immigrant from Belgium, pregnant, unmarried, no resources, and alone in the country, and barely spoke English. At the time, Mary knew she was unable to keep a baby. According to the family, the two women made a desperate plan. At the hospital, they switched ID cards. So Mildred gave Mary her identification, and Mary, the immigrant, gave Mildred her ID.
So Mildred pretended to be Mary and Mary pretended to be Mildred.
Yep. Is everyone on the same page here?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
This
Probably everybody else.
This feels like this could be a movie.
Yeah. I'm very slow when it comes to this stuff. You have to really explain it to me.
Well, we've got a lot of names here, especially even watching it. I had to watch it a second time to be like, okay, I'm following what happened here. Because you're being interviewed.
I watched it, I got lost real quick.
Yeah, you're being interviewed by a grown woman who's looking for, but both of her parents have passed away, but she's looking for her mother. And you're like, what is happening? And this is a family secret being opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
They switch IDs.
Yep.
Mildred's married. Mary's Mildred.
So Mary gives birth under the name of Mildred. So on the birth certificate,
It says Mildred.
Carla is birthed to a woman named Mildred.
Okay.
Got it. Carla became Mildred's child in every way that mattered except by blood. I will say she never says anything negative about her adopted, basically, parents. She doesn't say she had a bad childhood, just that something felt off. My explanation for this was a big family secret
Clearly.
that multiple people in the family knew about. And I can imagine that times that changed the environment or the vibe in the room because this is open secret that everyone knows about except for actually the person that it really
The
affects the
child.
most. Yeah, exactly. Mildred's brother Ed was only 12 at the time. So that was the other thing. Mildred is a full-grown adult woman, married, and Ed, her little brother, was 12 at the time. So he wasn't even really in a place to like say, hey, maybe we should think about this or. But he always felt that it was important for her to know the truth, but wanted to respect his sister to not have her find out. So he kept silent until she came and asked about it.
Okay.
Okay. So now, more than 40 years later, Carla can finally understand how all of these pieces are falling into place and go back to the woman that she met in her grandparents' kitchen. Mary wasn't just a family friend, she was her biological mother. Carla believes that it must have been unimaginably difficult for Mary to give her up and doesn't see this as any sort of abandonment, but simply as protection and as a young woman doing what she could to give her child a good life. And she said that she had that loving parents, a beautiful home, all of the things. She just wants to find this woman now.
All right. She wants to find her mom. Update.
Exactly. Update. Thanks to a viewer's tip on the very night that the episode aired, oh my gosh, my words today are not wording. Carla learned that her birth mother was alive and well. Her name was Mary Maxwell. The two spoke on the phone the very next day and discovered that she also had two half sisters. And just 8 days later, on September 26th, 1991, she traveled from Tennessee to Temple Hills, Maryland to meet Mary in person for the quote, second time. When Mary saw Carol step out of the car, she knew instantly. They ran from the house, calling out her name. And they show this on Unsolved Mysteries. I will say Carla's outfit, 10 out of 10.
I didn't notice.
Purple swishy tracksuit. Remember the big like windbreaker tracksuits
Awesome.
that made the noise every time you moved?
Oh, yeah.
Matching top and bottom. And I will tell you too, these two women could not almost look more like mother and daughter. Same face shape, same hair, everything.
They have a very distinct face shape.
Yeah.
And they are exactly the same.
Exactly alike. Exactly. And so Mary's interviewed and she calls this a miracle. She said she never believed that this would happen to her. Carol said that she, finding her mother was everything she hoped for. Discovering that she had two sisters and nephews was just like the biggest gift she could be giving. And, that's kind of
All right.
how it looked. Yeah. So there's your update.
Love again.
Wrapped.
Facebook. We needed you.
Yeah. Where were you?
20 years earlier.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ben. Do you want to tell us about some aliens?
I actually don't. So can we just move to the next story and then we can be done?
Ben's like, I watched it for you guys. I got nothing to say.
Twice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I'm here. I have to.
Okay, you have to do it.
I do have to do it. Okay. We are going to be talking about the Rendlesham Forest incident. That's what it is known as. So if you want to Google it. And there's a lot.
I can only imagine there's a lot on this one.
There is a lot. Okay. December 26, 1980, 2 a.m. Oh, sorry. Go back. We get told there's two Air Force bases. It happens in England. There's two Air Force bases, like with 3 miles apart. In between them is this forested area. So that's where this is taking place at these
Are
bases.
these bases combined with England and American troops, or is it just
It's the no,
no? It's just an
it's just
American
American.
Air
It's
Force
the
base.
Woodbridge and Bentwater air bases.
Okay, got it.
So, and like I said, there's about a 3 mile. Don't know why they weren't connected, but they're not. And there's these woods in between them.
Maybe they use them for training purposes.
I'm sure. But gosh, that's our dog barking because the Amazon man dropped something off, and that's very scary for her.
Well, and the Amazon man and the FedEx man and the UPS man have been driving back and forth in front of our house 100 times a day because we live on a regular street with multiple people getting
They're
packages delivered, and
delivering
she's
package.
losing it.
Yeah. Okay. Back to what I was saying. December 26, 1980, 2 a.m. Airman First Class John Burroughs was on his patrol, and him and his partner see some bright lights in the woods between the air bases. All right.
I would already have peed my
The
pants at this point.
Rendlesham Forest. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So they're like, what's in the reenact? What's that? Oh my gosh, what's going on out there? Whoa, what is it? And so they rush. Here's the best part.
Tell me the best
Actually,
part.
there's a lot of
I was going to say, I feel like you're going to say that a lot.
They tell us they rush to go use like a guard station to call his superiors. But you know what also then he uses later?
A walkie talkie?
A radio. Don't know why you couldn't radio it in right there, but no. So there.
Maybe the radio wasn't working
I don't-
because of the UFO.
No, stop. Anyways, he tells his superiors, man, there's all these lights. What's going on? What's going on there? And then a second patrol vehicle pulls up and they see it too. Like, oh my gosh. So the superior says, go and investigate. Go check it out. So now they have to leave the airbase. So it was very important. They told us they have to ditch their weapons because once you leave the base, you're not on U.S. soil anymore.
Oh, in England, you can't carry your
Can't carry
weapons.
weapon,
Okay.
right? So in the reenactment, it's funny
Mm-hmm.
because the guy playing Burroughs turns to his partner in the vehicle and says, do you want to go investigate? And his partner says, nah, says negative.
That'd be Ben. Ben, should we go look at this? Nah.
Anyway, so he jumps in the vehicle with the other two guys that show up. We don't get their names. And they go out to investigate. Okay. Go to the forest. They start walking around, heading towards the light. These lights, they're going all over the place, up, down, on, in and around, all over. You just can see how excited I am about this. Okay. And Burroughs tells us, he's interviewed in this. He
Mm-hmm.
tells us it's crazy. Animals they're extremely agitated. I don't know what animals, he doesn't say, but they're agitated. I think they came out to tell him they're upset about the lights.
The animals came
Yeah,
out to
yeah, I
say
think so.
these
I'm
lights
just
are
guessing.
disrupting us.
Yeah, because he knew the
Ben,
animals were
your
agitated.
biasy on anti-UFO stuff is showing.
Good.
These are military men on a military base. Why would they make this up?
I'm not saying they're making it up. Anyways, the animals are agitated. That's all we know. And then they got told by radio transmission, someone radioed them and said, hey, they just contacted Heathrow Tower and they had detected an object in the area. And then it just vanished. So now they know something's up. So as the team is investigating, they encountered a light, blue strobing light. And it rose up. They see it in the reenactment. It's not a light. It's an aircraft. It's a UFO. They see it. What do in the reenactment? They drop to the ground. Whoa, what is that? As he's telling it, he says it was these lights, right? Flashing, moving up and down all around. I don't know. I think he says orb, right?
Yeah.
So then it takes off. And for 2 hours, they're following this orb light around the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And it would like get close and then fly away and then be above the trees and then do all this stuff. And so they would try to follow around, nothing, right? So they head back. All right. And um 5 hours later, they go in to their commander, their person over him, and he's like, "So, what did you guys see?" I don't know, some type of lights. It's crazy. Now, I get it. You see these lights at the time, you're thinking, could it be a downed aircraft? Could it be something? It is totally something you should, especially right next to a military base, go investigate. And they're probably trying to like, so what was it? And these guys, Burrow
They
can't
can't
tell.
explain it.
They can't explain
They
it.
didn't find anything to explain the lights. There's no downed plane in the woods. There was no.
So the commander's like, well, then go back out there. It's now daylight.
Mhm.
Go back out and investigate. See if you can find anything, any type of evidence of that something
Something.
happened out there.
Yeah.
Let's find out if it was a downed craft, whatever, right? So they had out there. They even said they had a police officer from the area come out, and in the area they find what they find, Sierra,
Circles.
cert impressions in the ground, right?
Mhm.
And they tell us that they found broken branches on trees because
Mhm.
that doesn't ever happen. Branches don't break off trees. Something has to break them.
You know that trackers follow broken branches because if they're broken all in a certain direction, that doesn't happen accidentally, Benjamin.
Burn marks on the trees. They saw those.
Okay, fair.
And they see these impressions on the ground and they measure them
Mhm.
and they are perfectly uh, spaced and they create a perfect triangle. Can you believe that?
Dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun. The plot thickens.
Okay, but if you were investigating this, would you start to be like, this is weird? Put yourself in these guys' shoes.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
your same rhetoric is we got a lot of steps between this and aliens, and let's knock out every single one of those first before we jump to any crazy conclusions.
All right. So later that day,
Uh huh.
Colonel, he's the like
Mustard.
deputy. No, he's like the deputy commander of the two bases there. Colonel Charles Halt. He comes in. He's like, "What's going on?" And the guys are all laughing. Hell, what's it? Burroughs thought they saw a UFO last night. Blah blah blah.
Which, you know, if I know you and your buddies at work, this is exactly what you guys would be doing if someone said they saw something out at night.
So, Halt, he's skeptical, but he also is like, "Well, what did they see? What did happen
Yeah,
out
we
there?"
got something
Right?
happen between two military bases. We got to figure out, make sure this isn't enemy
Yeah.
something or, yeah,
So that night, guess what happens?
surveillance.
More lights show up,
Uh huh.
and Halt's there now. He's the big man. He's a big man on
The big
campus.
cheese,
He's
as
the
one
big
would say.
cheese. He's
Yeah.
there. He sees it. And as you can see in the reenactment, dude, all hands on deck. You've got vehicles, you got floodlights, you got investigators, you got tanks. Okay, maybe not tanks, but
I was like, tanks.
so Halt starts mobilizing everybody. He sends out floodlights, right?
Mm hmm.
And he's sending them out there like, you guys need to go investigate. Guess what? Those floodlights, they malfunction. So they say like around 9:30, Halt goes out there himself with more floodlights because they're like, those aren't working. Guess what? Those lights ain't working now too. Can you believe this?
I can because I believe in aliens.
So Colonel Halt says, all right, I'm going into the woods. Men behind me, follow me. Let's go.
Tally ho.
Let's go.
We ride at dawn.
He brings a photographer. We don't have any photos though. And he brings a recording equipment, like a tape recorder.
Okay.
They go out there. They're looking through. Oh, what's that? Look left. Look right. They're walking through the forest.
Okay.
What do they see? They all of a sudden, and I will say, we get interviewed by Sergeant Robert Ball. He's there. He corroborates this story. Okay. So through the trees, they see a red glowing object. And Robert Stack tells us all this reenactment and everything is from the recording. So uh Halt is recording, he's like giving a play by play on this tape recorder of what
Mhm.
they're doing and what's going on and what they're seeing.
Okay, do you remember a few episodes ago when I asked you like what it would take for you to believe in like aliens and you were like irrefutable proof? And I was like, it wouldn't matter. Here you have military men, multiple of them, saying that something insane is happening. They have audio recording of it, and you are still sitting here mocking the story.
I am not mocking anyone.
Yes, you
I
are.
do not
You got a
mock.
grin on your face.
I am not mocking anyone.
You are making fun of these guys.
Absolutely not. I do not make fun of these guys. I'm not making fun of them.
You are talking like, sure, Jan. Like,
Okay. So they see a red glowing object. And it's, and they say they're watching it. It's zigzagging through the forest, avoiding trees. And he says it appears to be blinking at them. That's weird, right? So they follow it and they come to a farmhouse. And the farmhouse is lit. It's it's lit up, right? From this.
from the inside, right? Is there like,
They don't say.
okay.
It just, if you listen to what they say, it's just there's this bright red light all around this area.
Okay.
They're watching this red orb light and it breaks up into 5 white lights and disappears. Okay. So they start moving towards the coast. They're still investigating. They're looking through the woods. They're trying to find out what's going on. As they get there, they see 3 objects in the sky, like white lights, and they're maneuvering around each other. And that, what did they say was Sergeant Robert Ball? He says to him, it almost looked like they were creating a search pattern, a search grid.
It looked It looked
Yeah.
intentional. I guess. Yeah. It wasn't.
They were moving with
Yeah.
purpose,
Got it.
right?
Mhm.
Not just random
Erratically.
movement.
Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, I'm trying to find my lights here. And they were saying these white lights were like shooting beams of white light down on the ground, almost like a search beam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we get John Burroughs back, and he says he just woke up in the middle of the night and said, I feel like something's come back. So then I don't know, he gets dressed and goes out there. Why not? We got nothing better to do.
Mm-hmm.
Head on out. And as he's there, he sees a blue transparent light come flying towards him. In the reenactment, they like got to hit the deck, jump down. Oh my gosh, it's coming for us. And as it passes, guess what happens? Floodlights work just for a second. Flash. He says, I can't explain it. They would only work when that light was around. Then Colonel Halt and his team, they're out there. And all of a sudden, they see one of those white lights come straight for them. It's coming
Mm-hmm.
like on an attack run.
Yeah.
And then, boom, shoots a beam of light right on the ground, right in front of them. Said within feet of them. And then, boom, disappears. Gone.
Gone.
Never to be seen again.
Okay.
All right. So, Colonel Halt, he's got all this recorded. He writes up a memo explaining what he saw, and that sends it up the chain, and no one does anything about it. This memo becomes a big deal because in 1983, someone clearly was tipped off by somebody,
Mm-hmm.
puts in a Freedom of Information
Freedom of
Act,
Information Act. Yep.
and gets this
I would
memo.
like to see this memo, please. Yeah.
Yeah. gets this memo and publishes it, and it becomes a big deal.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Later on, that tape that he records
Mm-hmm.
through there also gets declassified and is out there in the public for people to
Did
listen
you
to.
listen to it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's long,
Yeah. And chaotic, I'm sure.
and I think Unsolved Mysteries did a good job of at least giving you what he
They gave
said.
us the highlights.
Yeah. So we get a skeptic on here, and he pretty much says, "Nah, this didn't happen." There was that night, the 26th, there was a meteor shower that was
Oh,
reported.
okay. Yeah.
And you do get Halt and Burroughs back. It's like, listen, was not a meteor. Meteors fall. We saw these lights moving up and down, left and right. Like meteors don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. So, um, yeah. And England kind of investigated it, but they pretty much said, no, there's nothing to investigate. And the Air Force refuses to comment on the situation. So, was it aliens?
Yeah.
What was it? And
Aliens.
will we ever know?
No.
That's where Robert Stack tells us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
All right. Any updates?
No, not really.
I can only imagine that there is 1,000 theories
So
and
Colonel Halt, still at least up until like 2015, 2020, he was older at that time. I don't know if he's still alive or not. Still stands by what he saw,
okay.
believes it was extraterrestrial in some way.
Okay.
I read a few different things from Burrow because at one point the guy said he saw a craft. He also did an interview years later and said, I just saw lights.
Yeah.
On the recording, so the other theory that people put out was there was a lighthouse miles away,
Okay.
and that the light that they were seeing in the trees was from the lighthouse. Because technically, that lighthouse has now been torn down. It's not there anymore.
Okay.
But I read an article from a resident that lived there. He lived in the house. He lived in a house in that wooded area. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
he said, yeah, actually, every once in a while, like that lighthouse would shine through, even though it was like 10 miles away. There was a gap to the point where they would be able to see it. In Halt's recording, as he's recording it, when he says it looked like it was winking at them, it was happening every 5 seconds. The lighthouse flashed. Its rotation was every
Every
5
seconds.
seconds.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a lot of people's theory. The whole theory of an aircraft, no one says that anymore. It's all just lights that they
Okay.
saw. And everyone has their own theory. A lot of
Mhm.
people disbelieve it. A lot of people Halt at least stands by it. I give him that.
Okay.
Um, so there's also guys that were there. I read today. They're like, yeah, no, we didn't see anything.
What?
So they're like, yeah, we saw some lights in the sky, but nothing.
Nothing that is crazy has been
Yeah,
reported on.
yeah. So take it for what it is. I mean, you're giving me a hard time. I'm not. I'm not making fun of these people at all. These people are telling a story. They definitely saw something.
Mhm.
What they saw, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say it's extraterrestrial. I don't believe they have zero reason to make up a complete story.
Which is different from a handful of other UFO stories that you hear.
A lot of guys, so Halt's memo he wrote, he waited 2 weeks to write it.
Okay.
He didn't even write it right away. A lot of people use that as ammunition.
No, that I
I'm
actually don't
not,
put a lot of credit into his time frame. To me,
no, I
even
don't
in
know.
the world of military and government, waiting 2 weeks to write a formal memo is actually not that long.
It is a long time.
It is.
Yeah. It is a little strange.
I think to
me.
have a strange experience and not be able to understand it and decide I'm going to get a lot of grief if I put this down in writing. I think struggling with that makes sense to me that you would be like,
Yeah. Like I said, at the
yeah.
end of the day, I mean, it's a UFO supposed sighting.
Well, that's what UFO is, unidentified flying object.
So you're gonna get people on both sides of the
Yeah.
spectrum. I definitely believe they saw some type of light. They clearly experienced something. What? And I have no reason to believe that a lot of the stuff they're saying is not true.
Yeah.
Not true. I'm not buying that it was extraterrestrial,
Okay.
but I don't know,
Is this
maybe.
honest? Like, if you were going to rank, hey, this goes in the makes me a little bit more open to the idea or to UFOs, or like this is,
This is I would put this at the highest level of making this is the most credible story we have.
yeah.
Now reading about the Roswell incident,
I know that's so disappointing, huh, to find out because we
trash.
we live near Roswell. You lived near even closest to Roswell at one point. The entire city. That is their whole thing.
Don't get me wrong,
My
like
whole life, I thought that there was a legitimate crash landing in Roswell. And then to actually dig into it and find out that, like, early on, it was really like, it's, there's other things to me. Like, this should be a way bigger story than Roswell is.
yeah, yeah, and I will say like
Or
they've
that other one, remember that other landing in like the creek bed or
Pennsylvania
something? Yeah.
because
Again, that has more credibility than Roswell
that one
does.
does too because so many people.
So many people saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think that one was a military, some type of aircraft where they were just trying to like cover their butts. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's clearly something went down there.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I mean, out of all the stories we've heard, uh, like I said, these guys have no reason to make it up. They're not, but and again, you have multiple sources. It's not one
And
person.
it was over 2 nights, right? This
Yeah,
was not just one occurrence.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you have like higher up people in the
Mhm.
military saying, "Yeah, dude, we saw something. It was weird."
And to me, it being more than the lighthouse would be the fact that there was interference with other electronics around. That is weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, there you guys go.
What's your
Um,
thoughts? UFO?
yeah. I mean, whether it was a craft or whether it was some sort of potential technology that I don't know. My biggest thing I think I always run up against the wall when people are like, why would um extraterrestrials be here visiting or interacting with our planet and not it being like a regular thing or coming back or being something that happens so much that we do you know what I mean? Like that's probably the biggest thing that I run into that I can't that always makes me pause because I think that's a great question. Um I don't yeah, this one to me has way more sounds of being some sort of foreign object that interacted. But I also believe in like weird timelines and wormholes and like things slipping through and stuff like that. So I don't know, but that could be a conversation for a different day on that theory. That gets me into like the missing planes in the air and stuff like that. The Malaysia flight just blinked out of existence.
It's gonna show up in 100 years,
That would be insane. But yeah,
and all the people are gonna get off and be like, "What?
that's okay. Now you're just doing
Where
that.
are we? What's going on?
What's going on?
I
We
fell
fell asleep.
asleep."
I really wanted to like that TV show, but it got done quick. There was a TV show based on that, but I think it was like
It was called
5 years or something.
Manifest. I think
Departure? No. Oh,
the Manifest, right?
something like that. Yeah.
I never watched it.
Yeah. I think it had potential to be really good, but it got almost like soap opera y and weird. But yeah, I mean, you don't have I was interested in you covering this one because as I was watching it, I thought the same thing. Like, if you are looking for harder evidence and more documentation, and still to this day not having a firm grasp, even with all the technology we have, that you can't explain what happened. And if it was the lighthouse, wouldn't have this been something that then happened again several years later, or at least weeks or months later?
Yeah, no, I here's the thing.
Or that could it not be
I'm
recreated if
trying
that
to
was
tell
it?
the story in a fun way, and the
Yeah.
things I was saying, like it's,
I'm not giving you a hard time. You are the skeptic in this, and I am grateful for
but
you in that.
um, but I'll be honest. As I'm watching multiple military guys telling their story and all corroborating what they're saying, and I thought to myself, man, this is actually the most credible one off the top of my head, and even that I can't debunk
Hmm.
everything. You might be able to debunk a few things
Yeah.
or write off a few things they're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Fair. Yeah.
Um, but with so much happening, it's not just a light once, but so much happening and everyone's seeing all of that. I literally said, this is hands down the most credible story of a weird phenomenon. And then when I even researched it, and you're trying to research people that debunk it, they don't bring a great argument either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, all right. I and that's why technically it's still one of the biggest UFO sightings or some type of
Yeah.
weird phenomenon sightings that it's to this day is still talked about. There's a book written, there's documentaries done on
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
So it can't, no one can debunk it, especially all the things these guys said they saw happen. There's nothing debunk. The Roswell thing was literally debris. That is easily debunked by one thing.
And it was debunked immediately. How it got so spun out of
Well, it
control.
wasn't debunked immediately because the military didn't for years refuse to say that they were testing a balloon.
Oh, balloon. Okay,
Once they
fair.
came out and said that, but the problem was is they waited too long and
Hmm.
theories and all that had already started
Yeah.
for a long time and books had already been written. And then the military was like, hey guys,
I meant
actually,
immediately as in like they redacted because they reached out to the newspaper, right? And was like, hey, something weird happened. And then immediately
yeah,
within like a day or two was like, hey, actually scratch that. They very quickly tried to change the narrative. And not that we should believe the government when they make a quick left turn, but they understood what it was they figured it out very quickly. Now, if they had obviously come out within weeks or months and saying, hey, but it was a time they were testing technology and you don't want that into certain people's hands.
yeah, we were in the middle of the Cold War.
Yeah.
So, or what, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I said, yeah,
But this one has not been able to be linked to anything like that.
nothing. There's some theories. There's some wild
Oh, I'm sure
theories
there
out there,
is. Yeah.
but no proof of those theories. So like, I didn't even get into it. There was one theory that the SAS said like this was a retaliatory thing. They
Oh,
did it intentionally to mess with the Air Force, but there was
well, like mine, they were trying to like,
but there's zero
what's the
evidence.
word I'm looking for? Like psych people out, like get into the
Yeah,
mental space. Okay.
but there's zero evidence of that.
Psychological warfare. That's what I mean,
Yeah,
that's smart, but it, to me, because too, these were military men, they handled this with common precision. These men had been trained to be in stressful war situations. And so they were able to keep a level head when something was happening instead of like going over the top. And I think even going out the next day when the daylight came out and finding exact measurements and broken, like signs that some sort of disturbance had happened there.
yeah. So there's that.
Hmm.
There was that theory, and then there was also the theory that it was like a downed Russian satellite, and or some type of Russian thing that the government sees and they don't want to talk about it. I'm like, yeah, that actually is debunked too, because
Yeah.
if that was the case, those bases would be the one collecting it,
Yeah.
and they sure as heck wouldn't let their colonel go around telling a
But
story.
that's the thing. This wasn't just your regular enlistees
That's
telling us this story.
so I'm like,
Yeah.
that one's in my mind debunked too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
All right, we can move on.
Okay. All right. I have a sad story that I'm going to share with you guys, but I do find this one very interesting because of the phenomenon that happened in the 80s and 90s with
Phenomena.
satanic panic. We're going to find a heads up. Unsolved Mysteries tells this story. It tells it fine. I'm not saying anything negative, but it definitely plays into the sensationalism of the satanic panic at the time, which when Unsolved Mysteries came out, we were kind of just on the end of it. So when I tell the story, I'm going to talk about it in the way Unsolved Mysteries did. And then in the update, we'll kind of clarify maybe some things that um, are no longer to believe to be a problem.
Okay.
And it reminded me a lot. Do you remember in the first couple episodes of Unsolved Mysteries, the boy from San Francisco who played Dungeons and Dragons, right? At the time, if teenagers were doing anything odd, this crazy phenomenon happened. And
Phenomena.
um, did you ever play any of those games as a teenager? Light as a or light as a feather, stiff as a board, or Bloody Mary, or anything like that?
No.
Oh, okay. It reminds me of.
I played with a Ouija board one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. It's things like that that I feel like at some point, most teenagers, because they are in, they like creepy, weird things, or they like the fear of being scared. They're looking for an adrenaline rush and they're trying to do something. I don't think that teenagers doing stuff like that means that they're in a satanic cult. But
Did you play with those things?
I did Bloody Mary a couple of times. Did you ever do Bloody Mary?
Nah.
No. And yeah, stiff as a board, light as a feather. I did that all the time as a teenager, like every sleepover. I don't think we ever made anybody levitate. If we did, I blocked it out of my mind because it never worked. But
Yeah. No, I played a Ouija board with my friend. It was teenagers. We
yeah,
bought one and we played it. And
nothing happened. Or
oh
did
no.
something
Oh
happen?
yeah. Definitely.
Something happened or nothing happened?
Oh yeah. That stuff happened. That thing moved. 100%. Oh
Seriously?
yeah. 100%.
All right, let's put a pin in that. We'll get around to that at the end because I want to get into this so we give ample time. In the fall of 1987, a Angelo, Texas, 16-year-old Shane Stewart and 18-year-old Sally McNeil looked like your average teenage couple. Small town, high school, late nights. Right out of any sort of small town romance, right? These two started dating quietly and just became known as just this adorable high school small town couple. However, a year later, something had changed. In 1988, Shane and Sally allegedly became involved with a group in their families that their families would later describe as a satanic cult. Whether it was a truly organized occult activity or loosely dangerous social circles to this day is still debated. But what the matter to these closest to them was this was the key to the transformation that they saw. Sally's mother, Pat, first noticed that Sally began sneaking out late at night, returning home withdrawn and secretive. One night, to the point where Pat confronted her directly by staying up. She'd realized her daughter had snuck out of the house
Busted.
and stayed up. That is like every kid's worst fear, that you've snuck out of the house and you're going to like climb back through the window and that light switch is going to go on and your parents sitting there like,
Did you
sit
ever sneak out?
down. Um, I honestly don't think so.
Hmm.
You guys, I watched true crime growing up and I never wanted anyone to not know where I was. And I'm not going to say any of these kids' name because I think some of their parents listen to this podcast. I was at slumber parties where all of the girls collectively decided that they were going to sneak out. And I stayed back. And that, I mean, you're talking about like the ultimate peer pressure because we knew that there was a group of boys from our high school also having a slumber party not far away.
Oh, that's trouble.
And they all met up and I stayed back and went to bed. Did not want anything to do with that.
Good for you.
And I'll share this tale of caution. We even, and I know some of these girls still to this day, they listen to this podcast. So I will not give any names. But one night we were staying at one of my friend's house and the parents had let us stay out in the RV in the driveway. And my really good friend at the time was kind of like me. She was a little bit more of the reserved, not so like quick to be crazy. Two of us, so me and her, stayed back at the RV while they slipped their parents' car into neutral, pushed it out of the driveway, and like snuck out. And next thing I know, I'm being woken up by a mother screaming at the top of her lungs inside the RV because the car is gone and all of the children except for me and my friend are in the RV. And it turns out that they were out driving around fast corners and flipped the brand new Mustang over 13 miles out South Myrtle Road in a ditch and ended up in the hospital and almost dying.
Well,
So,
there's your cautionary tale.
your
Don't sneak
cautionary
out.
tale. So, again, that only reiterated the fact that no, I did not believe in sneaking out. Did you sneak out?
Of course. Of course.
Best part is you guys, Ben was a really good kid in school, but then, like, what were you sneaking out to do?
Blow up newspaper boxes and I don't know, do what stupid teenage boys do.
Oh, okay. Back to my story. So Pat confronts her daughter directly and asks her where she's been. Sally, however, refuses to answer. Concerned, Pat reaches out to one of the parents of Sally's friends, and what she heard confirmed some of her deepest fears. Sally might be involved in some kind of cult.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm. A little background story, and they do give us some of this information on Unsolved Mystery. Sally's mom, Pat, had Sally at like early teenage years. So Sally and Pat were actually not that far off in age and actually had more of a sister relationship instead of a mother daughter. And by the time Sally was a teenager, she was very angry and resentful at her mother and actually to the point where she just called her Pat and blamed her mom Pat for not her dad not being in her life and a lot. So there was a lot of other things happening inside
It
this
was
home.
home turmoil.
Yeah. So according to Unsolved Mysteries, Sally began attending ritualistic gatherings on a regular basis. On one occasion, she invited her friend named Helen, who's interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries. What Helen witnessed was unsettling. During the ritual, Sally, her friend, appeared to slip into a trance-like state. This to the point where Helen got up, left early, shaken and worried for her friend's safety. Shane was also showing some changes in behavior too. His father, Marshall Stewart, who is also interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries and is actually accredited to being highly involved in the reenactments of this. He plays himself in all of the reenactments and to this day owns or runs a organization to help parents grieving with the loss of a child. Noticed that his once manageable son was growing increasingly volatile. Shane began getting into fights with other teenagers. One fight escalated so badly that Shane was thrown into a river. Marshall believed that these changes coincided directly with Shane's involvement with this group of kids. By January of 1988, hold on to your hats for this one, because I thought I'd heard this wrong. January of 1988, Shane and Sally, both high school students at the time, move into an apartment together. Okay. It was a bold step for two teenagers and their families, and another sign that things were spiraling beyond the adults' control in the situation. But in March, Sally decided I want to say by March, they had moved out of those apartments, and she contacted the police, claiming that members of the group were involved in serious criminal activity. Shane and Sally actually turned over a handgun, of which a cult member had allegedly given to them and told them it had been used in a robbery and or murder. An investigation confirmed that the weapon had been stolen but could not be linked to any other criminal activity. But what stood out the most to people in this situation was not necessarily the gun. It was that Shane and Sally told investigators that they were afraid and that they believed that members of the group might harm them. So within 6 weeks of this, yeah, they moved out of the apartment and left town separately. Again, still while actively being in high school. And from everything I could find, they didn't drop out of school. They were still attending classes regularly and had plans for the future. Um, and for a brief time, it felt like things had returned normal, that they had kind of escaped what was happening. By early summer of 1988, both Shane and Sally moved back home to their hometowns, but had moved back in with their families. They didn't move back in with each other. And by mid-June, Sally called Helen, her voice carrying urgency, and said that she and Shane were afraid that they might be killed. June 3rd, around noon, Shane received a phone call. His father, Marshall, believing that he was somehow involved with this group and owing them money. Shane brushed off, insisting that nothing was wrong. And when Marshall's interviewed, he says that he went to his son and said, "If you need help with something, please talk to me. I am here. I will help get you out of this." And he told his dad not to worry about it, that it was being taken care of. So you could tell these
Yeah.
parents
Knew something was up.
knew something was up. And I think anyone who has parents of teenagers, as much as teenagers think that they know everything, you can tell when something has changed in your child.
Yeah.
But again, especially I'm like, to allow your child to move out of the house, I don't know. It seems like a very complicated situation. And it breaks my heart to think that these parents were so desperately wanting to know how they could help and were shut out. And side research, I believe at this time, when they moved out of their apartments and when they first moved back, the uh Sally and her boy, they weren't together, they weren't dating anymore. But then on Independence Day was their first time like going back out on a date together. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I remember them saying
Yeah.
that. That was the first time they've been back together for a while.
For a while. So, July 4th, Independence Day. That evening, Shane and Sally attended a 9 p.m. fireworks show at Lake Nashworthy. Families, this was a big community event, were gathered, music played, explosions of color filling up the sky. America, 4th of July, all the things. Yep.
America.
After that, Shane and Sally vanished. Later that night, a witness reported seeing them about 6 miles away at Isabel Height Park near O.C. Fisher Lake. It was, and this man is interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries as well. And he tells us he had his fishing boat out on the water and noticed this couple, because we're going to learn Shane had a really cool, like, Camaro. He like, it stood out. It was
It's an 80s, your typical 80s
and
car.
it was
It's
cool.
like a Camaro or Thunderbird.
It was a Camaro, yeah, a pretty sweet car, right? So it stood out to people. It wasn't easy to notice it. And he said that while he saw them at the lake, a truck pulled up, and the witnesses heard Sally telling the people that they didn't want to be involved in any of this behavior anymore. And the guy in the boat says he just assumed that it was 4th of July, that these kids were out drinking and partying and probably just did not want to be involved in anything that was about to happen. And so he left the scene. The following morning, Shane's car was found abandoned in a different section of the park. Fast food wrappers sat in the front seat. The keys rested on the dashboard. There was no signs of a struggle, but there was also no signs of Shane or Sally. At first, authorities believed that the couple had possibly run away to go get married to each other. However, Marshall Stewart never accepted that explanation. He recalls that Shane mentioned a specific teenager that he didn't get along with. As someone, he said that if you ever interacted with him again, it would likely lead to a serious fight. Acting on instinct, Marshall went to that teen's home and confronted him. And there's a reenactment of this. This dad was like, listen, he said the biggest indicator he knew his son hadn't run away to go get married was that he left his car.
Which he said he loved it.
That was his whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for an 18, 19-year-old kid with that
Well,
kind
that
of
time he
car?
was 17. Yeah. That was his baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the dad's like, no, if you guys aren't going to investigate this, I'm going to. So he goes to this teen's house, knocks on the door. And when the door opened, Marshall noticed that this kid's face was full of fresh scratches, as if he'd looked like he had been in a recent fight. However, the teen refused to talk to him. 4 months later, in November, the case takes a devastating turn. 17 miles away, near the Twin Buttes Reservoir, skeletal remains are discovered in a pasture. And then it was confirmed that they belonged to the two missing teenagers, Shane and Sally. Both had been shot in the head with a shotgun.
Oof.
Yeah. Families and investigators believed that their involvement with the group had played a role. Marshall became convinced that several members had abducted them at the lake, drove them out to a remote area, and murdered them.
The crazy part about it is Marshall, the dad,
Mm-hmm.
hears this on his police scanner.
Yeah.
It goes there.
Yeah, I didn't put that in my notes,
And
but
he he identifies his son because of the clothes and the personal effects there.
Yep.
I can't even imagine.
No, I can't either.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
And that's kind of where Unsolved Mystery leaves us.
All right. Update, and I got a bad feeling about this.
All right. The case officially remains unsolved. But I've got some stuff that since 2017, there has been a handful of changes in this story.
Okay.
Okay. First, in 1994, a DNA profile was recovered from evidence found near Shane's abandoned car. It was entered into CODIS, but from what I could find, at the time there was no matches, and there hasn't been any since, or no matches were made. And in July in 2014, the Tom Green County Sheriff's Department reopened the case. Investigators announced that two major developments had taken place. A person of interest had been located in a foreign country, and that Shane's remains were actually at that point exhumed for additional DNA testing. Authorities planned to collect DNA from multiple persons of interest, though we didn't get any official names, and there's been no confirmed matches as of now that have been publicly announced. In February 2016, the Texas Department of Public Safety asked for the public's help, offering a reward for information leading to an arrest. June 2017, investigators have officially identified a person of interest, and they're like number one suspect. His name is John Gilbreth. He was arrested on marijuana charges, and during the search of his home, officers uncovered evidence allegedly connected to Shane and Sally. Among the items was a bunch of audio tapes labeled as SS, handwritten notes and ledgers referring to this couple by name, a lock of hair believed to be one of them, and fingernail clippings, as well as some sort of, quote, biological material believed to be blood.
That's weird.
I know.
Which makes me think, is this guy like...
Yeah. Investigators confirmed that Gilbreth has actually been a suspect from the very beginning. He was part of this group and was 17 at the time of the murders. He has prior felony convictions and is currently, right now, from my understanding, serving time in federal prison on unrelated charges. Despite this, he has never been charged in the murders. Authorities now state that they no longer believe that these killings were directly related to any sort of satanic ritual or cult activity, and that it is very likely that multiple people were involved in this murder.
I didn't think it was cult. What I thought is that these kids were running with the wrong crowd,
Yeah.
and this crowd was probably committing crimes and doing stupid things and murdered them.
Yeah, what and I don't know how they got connected with this group, but somehow something appealed to them about this group of kids that were running amok in this town. And it seems like maybe when they weren't out committing probably little petty theft and robbery and stuff like that to get their, kicks in, that they then played with Ouija boards. Here's the thing. We
It's
do know that they were doing something what you would call a cult, which is not a cult, but occult rituals, which would trying to potentially do spells or witchcraft or whatever. And so that's what's interesting is this plays somewhat into the fear of satanic panic that these kids were messing with maybe things, dark things that I wouldn't recommend, but that doesn't lead to sacrifice and murder and rituals and that
yeah, I
aspect.
didn't.
These are two separate things, but I think that those kids they were bored in a small town and were probably just unsupervised, allowed to get away with whatever they wanted, and were doing anything for a thrill.
And it appeared that a lot of them were coming from broken homes of some
Mhm.
sort. So they're all coming together, finding camaraderie together, doing stupid things.
Yeah. And I found it interesting when they said that they found handwritten notes and ledgers. Ledgers usually refer to some sort of money.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know because no one's ever said anything. And again, since this is an ongoing investigation, I don't know. Did these two teenagers get involved with this group and somehow get roped into things and then owed them money and then decided this is a lot heavier and like way more like problematic than we've all gotten into something and then been like, whoa, I'm out. This is way more than I thought I was getting involved in. And then them trying to leave.
Yeah, that's what it appears.
Yeah.
Well,
And then they found out that they were back in town and that they were together and isolated at this park and showed up as a group. That's what I'm guessing happened. Took them somewhere and yeah, I it appears to be, and from every sort of investigator that's come forward and said anything, they do not believe that this was a one-on-one incident. They believe that
it was multiple.
multiple kids from that group were involved in this.
It's like the murder on the Orient Express
Yeah, or I know what you did last summer.
or that.
Yeah, where these kids now, and the thing that's scary is a handful of these kids never left this town and still live amongst these people.
All right.
Okay. So if you have any information related to the murders of Shane Stewart and Sally McNeil, you are urged to contact the Tom Green County Sheriff's Department at 325 655 8111. Or you can do any anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers. If you even want to be more anonymously, you can email unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com and I will submit it for you. Because in this case, not only do they have evidence, but somebody knows something. And I imagine if you were one of the first people that came forward and said, I want immunity, I was there, and I can tell you what happened, you likely could cut a pretty sweet deal. And someone is living with this on them that they helped murder or witnessed two teenagers being shot in the head.
Uh, Terrible story.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, that is our recap of season 4, episode 1. That was a big story, there's a lot of stuff there.
Lot.
A lot of things are happening. Okay. Well, for everyone who is not interested in the mini part of our show, this is when Ben and I have a little bit of chitty chat time where I ask him a silly question. If that's not your jam, please feel free to exit stage right. For the rest of you guys, Ben, you ready for your question?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your current guilty pleasure?
My current guilty pleasure.
Something that you indulge in. Don't give me those eyes like that.
Um, so almost every day
mm-hmm.
I come home, and if you guys don't know, I might have said this before, but there's a queso at Safeway. It's called the Green Hatch Chili
Do you
Queso.
really want to tell everybody about this? A lot of our listeners
I
are
don't care.
local.
You
Okay.
know what? I'm doing you all a favor, so you're welcome.
Okay.
And it's a Safeway in their deli area.
Mm-hmm.
They make it there, and it's delicious. And I practically eat it almost every day when I get home from work.
With their deli salsa.
Yes, they have a hot salsa, and it is also delicious.
And what are the chips you always have?
The Juanitos,
Juanitos.
because Safeway also sells those, and they're the best chips in a bag.
I agree.
They're the best mass-produced chips.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Don't come at me with homemade and whatever. I got you. I
Yeah.
understand that. But if you're looking for a chip on the chip aisle, that's the best one.
A tortilla chip.
Yeah. And not every store carries those.
For a long time here, no one carried them, but they carried them in Oregon. So you grew up like.
I grew up eating those.
Yeah.
And they're delicious. And I literally come home from work every day, heat up that queso, grab that salsa with my chips, turn on Taskmasters, and watch an episode of Taskmasters and have that.
Yeah.
And it's like my afternoon snack, and I veg out for a little bit.
Yeah, I could have literally told you guys what Ben's answer was going to be.
Yeah, and every time I think that I'm getting over it, I don't. I have been doing this for months.
Yeah.
Months.
And I don't even remember even how we accidentally found that salt or that queso.
You found it.
Okay.
You brought it home at one point. Somehow you stumbled into it.
Yeah.
And it has been a staple in this house. I have to have a package of it in the house at all times.
Yeah.
So good. Stop what you're doing. Go to Safeway. Get one right now. And trust me, you'll be sending me a message telling me thank you.
Yeah, it is very good.
You can take that to the bank. All right.
Okay.
What's yours?
I don't think I really have a food current guilty pleasure. Right now, my guilty pleasure for sure is the show Taskmaster. There's 20 seasons on YouTube, and we've watched season 20 through season 7.
Something like that.
In a matter of a couple of months.
Right, we're working back. We started at 20 and we're moving back.
And there's only 10 episodes per season.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I've even gone back and repeated watching a few of my favorite episodes from past seasons. But I think right now that is for sure my guilty pleasure. I'm really enjoying it. It's just easy. It's hilarious.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. And so when you get home from work, we usually watch an episode of that. In the evening after the kids kind of meander, we, shut everything down and the kids have to go like read or draw or do something quiet. And you and I will watch like an episode or half an episode before bed. That's for sure my guilty pleasure right now that I'm enjoying. But I don't think I really have a staple food that I have to have. I mean, my guilty pleasure is always Diet Coke. I don't feel guilty about it though. It's just something that I indulge in from 8 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. I am the person in my bathrobe cracking open a Diet Coke.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. But
yes, you are.
Yeah, no current food obsessions that I can think of. So, all right, guys. Well, that is about everything we have for you. We hope that you guys are enjoying your Hanukkah or your Christmas celebrations that are coming up and that you guys are staying safe and doing good things. Go out there, be kind to each other, enjoy the holidays, drop some candy off at your neighbors, and leave your favorite podcasters a 5-star rating review. And Ben and I will be back here again next week where we recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.